All right. Sorry.
Hello, everyone. My name is Delilah Hernandez. I was a part of the UCSF LCOE Aspiring Physicians Program in the summer of 2021. So the program duration is, it's a summer program. It's a 6-week summer program. And I have the date for the next summer program for 2022. The program includes introduction to health policy. We get to work with our local community-based organizations and write fact sheets. I do have my fact sheet that I made with my organization on the top with the HIV/AIDS in the Fresno County. We did have our MCAT preparation where we got to work on some problems, MCAT problems with a medical student. We did prepare for a medical school application and statement of purpose. We practiced interview with medical students. We had guest speakers and medical school panelists. And there is a $2,000 stipend and eligibility. So you have to be a full-time Fresno State student. You have to have a plan to apply to medical school. And the GPA has to be around a 3.0 or higher. And you have to be a US citizen, or you could be a DACA status student, a US permanent residence. And the application process, it just included a personal statement, an unofficial transcript. It wasn't really that much of a requirements needed for the application process. And there is going to be an informational session on Monday, November 8th, I'm sorry. And I do have the registration link. You can't really see it, it's kind of cut off, but it's right there. It's at 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. And oh yes, our summer program was held virtual. So I don't know if it's going to be held virtual this summer. And that concludes my presentation. Does anyone have any questions?
I have a question for you. I'm just looking at this poster here on the side. Is this the research poster you made for in the program?
Yes, I worked with Fresno Barrios. Basically, we got to meet with the organization and we got to talk about what they wanted to spread more awareness in our community. And we talked about HIV and AIDS in Fresno County and how not many people around from the Fresno County know much about the virus or even know how it's transmitted or how we could prevent it. So we wanted to include sex education as a way to prevent HIV and AIDS, to get our students, the youth, educated so we could prevent the cases from increasing in the Central Valley.
Okay, great. And so what other topics can students research on in the program, or are there limited topics, or you can choose whatever you'd like to research in regards to public health?
Yeah, we did get to pick our topic. We got to pick the organization we wanted to work with. And that's when we get to talk with our organization onto what we specifically want to look into that's affecting our Central Valley. So that's in the way how we came to a conclusion to find a topic to research in. It kind of comes from the organization and from what we want to do as well, and to spread more awareness into the Central Valley.
Great, thank you so much. I'll pass it off to Sohan now.
Yeah, I just had a quick question for like, given COVID times, do you know if the program's in person or is it virtual?
It was virtual in this summer, but I do not know if it's going to be virtual for the next summer program, especially since we started barely transitioning to in-person, but I still believe it's going to be virtual.
Now we can go on to, I don't see any questions coming in. If you all happen to have questions later on as we're going through the programs, you can still just type them in the chat, even if they're one from the previous slide, and we'll address them as they come to your mind. So our next speaker is Gurnee Gandhi, and she'll be presenting about SHPEP.
Hi everyone, my name is Gurnee and I did Medpep this past summer. And the program is a 6-week program and there's 12 universities across the United States that offer the program. And you have to be a freshman or sophomore in college to be a part of it. And it's open to pre-med, pre-PA, optometry, dental, and other pre-health fields. And some important dates are November 1st, which is when the application opens. So it opened yesterday and it closes on February 5th. And then decisions are released by March 15th. So you know by then and you can plan out your summer accordingly. And the requirements are a 2.5 GPA or above. And you have to be a United States citizen, resident, or DACA. And there's one personal statement, one letter of rec, and a transcript that they require as a part of their application. And then some other factors, they look for individuals who are ethnically or economically underrepresented in their community or in the health professions. And they're also looking for students who are interested in serving underserved communities. And then some additional information, they offer a $600 stipend, and they also cover travel fees. So some of the schools are across the United States, so like on East Coast. And so yeah, they basically cover travel fees for that as well if you get into a school on that side. And there's free room and board at the school that you get into. And they offer clinical exposure and career development and academic enrichment as well. And I have another slide to talk about my program. So my site was at Western University, which is in LA. And mine was, it was online last year, but next year they're saying it's supposed to be in person. So this is how it would look. It would be, you'd be living at Pitzer College and they would offer weekday breakfast and dinner meals and some highlights. So it was offered June 21st to July 30th this year. And then it was basically split up into 2 sessions. So it was like the morning session, which was more interprofessional teamwork, and like we had different doctors come and present to us. So it was like a dentist, an optometrist, a medical doctor. And then for the afternoon, it would be more focused on what you want to do. So like if you're pre-med, it would be suturing and you'd be working with a medical doctor. And like for dental, they would be working with a dentist. And then some benefits are that you guys have an opportunity to shadow clinicians in the patient care center, and there's also clinical experience offered. And you can also build skills with team-based learning. And there's also, you have an opportunity to build connections with the faculty at whichever school that you get into. And there's advising sessions that are led by medical and grad students. So you're able to interact with them and ask them any questions that you may have about grad school. And there's also trips on the weekends to various places around LA. And then you're able to meet like-minded individuals. And yeah, definitely we were able to form a community, and I still keep in touch with some of my track members. And then just for some requirements, they just expect you to be on time and attend all the daily sessions. And there's also weekly assignments and exams to kind of, it's basically like an intro into grad schools or med school. So you're able to kind of see how that would be through the assignments and exams. I can take any questions if you guys have any questions.
Yeah. Yesenia and for me, are any questions coming in?
No, there aren't any questions, but I'd like to ask one. How was your experience there? Even though it was online, how did you find the experience to be, especially the clinical side of things?
Yeah, so I was able to actually shadow an eye doctor, which was really nice. They definitely still offered a lot of opportunities. And I was also able to, so they gave us like equipment. They like mailed equipment to us, which we were able to work with. So I know for like the medical students, it was like suturing kit. And for optometry, they gave us different like eye equipment, and we were able to kind of work with that. And there was like different sessions related to those topics as well.
I just received a question from a student. They asked, is there a stipend for travel?
Yes, so they cover the travel fees. So there's some sites in the West Coast. So there's like UCLA and Western U, and there's one in Oregon. So even to those, they offer travel fees. And then definitely for the East Coast ones as well, like for the airport I mean, for the plane tickets and stuff.
Okay, thank you so much.
I
No
do
problem.
have a question that came in. It says, is there any other opportunities similar to this that are open to other undergraduate students?
So yeah, well, this is open to undergraduate students, and the SHPEP program has different sites, if that's what they mean by different programs. But yeah.
Gurnee, I think what they're trying to get at is, do you know of any sister programs to this one that cater to like upperclassmen, so juniors and seniors?
Oh, okay. I don't know of any directly, because I know this one, it's for first and second years. But maybe there's some other programs that would look into some available for juniors and seniors.
I know this program. I'm also alumni of this program for the pre-medical track. So I know that they have been a little more flexible because of COVID. So they have taken a few like juniors and even like fourth years in the past. So you can, so if you like go onto this website, the program director, her name is Maria Moreno. She's super sweet. Just reach out to her. I'm pretty sure she'll get back to you. She's very thorough with the information she provides as well. So if you're an upperclassman and you're still interested, you can reach out, and I'm pretty sure you can still apply. They've definitely been more flexible because of the COVID situation. I know my year, it was the first year that they went virtual, and they were allowing us to like defer our application to like a later year if we wanted like the in-person experience. So they have been pretty open to that.
We have a question in the chat. So can we decide the site that we want to stay, or is that assigned to us?
So it's an application process. So there's 12 different schools that you could apply to, and it would be the ones that you get into. And that's how you would kind of, you could pick from the ones you get into that way.
I think we can move on to the next speaker. If we don't have more questions about this program. So our next speaker is Cynthia, and she will be sharing about the prep medical program at UC Davis.
Hi, everyone. My name is Cynthia. Thank you so much for joining in today. I will be discussing about the UC Davis Prep Medical Program, which is an internship program that consists of 6 weeks. Prep Medical actually stands for Preparando Estudiantes para Ser Médicos, preparing students to be medics. This is an amazing program that I took part of. I took part of the in-person interaction. However, for terms of location, in the past, it has been over Zoom. Something that I do recommend, especially now with everything transitioning back to in-person, is to monitor their website to see if the program will be held virtually or in person. A couple of the program eligibilities consist of being a first or second year college student, or a community college student as well. You do, however, have to be a resident of the Central Valley or Northern California, as well as a couple of completions of English composition and 1 semester or quarter of general chemistry or general bio. Along with a couple of more logistics is you must have a GPA of 2.85 or higher. And lastly, they just really ask to demonstrate interest in becoming a physician and serving Latinx communities. A couple of things that this program includes is interaction with health professionals at UC Davis Medical Center and Kaiser facilities. Examine Latinx health disparities and social determinants of health. And then also not only examine them, but also understand your own personal leadership style, as well as develop new skills. So Prep Medical does a really good job of taking and providing a really holistic approach to the medical field. And lastly, you receive structured academic advising and mentoring. Something to keep in mind is that applications do open December 1st, 2021. So definitely mark your calendars because this is an amazing program. As you can tell by the pictures, I doing CPR training. That's something that you get out of the program as well. They take care of all the fees. And at the very bottom, I'm helping like farm workers, providing free healthcare by taking their blood pressure, and just explaining kind of nutritious aspects of what they should be consuming throughout the day. Like, for instance, the importance of wearing sunscreen or the importance of hydrating yourself. So Prep Medical really does cater to Central Valley and their needs. And it really targets the gaps that exist within the Central Valley. This does, however, in person, this did take place at the UC Davis site. So it was located in Sacramento. If you definitely do not have to worry about the expenses of housing, as they provide housing through the CSU, Sacramento State. And you also do receive a stipend. So if you are interested, definitely look out for their application as it opens December 1st. And if you do have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself. Thank you.
I have a question for you. So a student asked, is this strictly for first and second year undergraduates as well?
Yes, this is strictly for first and second years. However, there is like a sister program to this. It's called Rise Up program. And the coordinator who actually started this program is the director for the other program called Rise Up. And it also takes place with UC Davis Health. And that one will cater to upper classmen, like juniors or even graduating seniors.
Thank you so much, Cynthia.
Yeah, no problem.
So I did have a question that I think will help our attendees as well. So I know, like in the past, for like their in-person programs, they have had like an immunization requirement where like everyone has to kind of go in and like make sure like their vaccination records are filled out, and they have to get like their TB tests done. Do you know if they're requiring that just in case that program is held in person?
So if it will be held in person, you do have to, you are required to provide vaccination records, simply because they also do offer clinical rotations during the program. And for instance, you can even be placed in surgery or in like pediatrics. So you definitely will be interacting with patients, shadowing doctors and whatnot. So they will make it a requirement. However, if it's held via Zoom, you do not have to submit any paperwork for or immunization records for that.
So I would like to share that I believe like the deadline in the past, it's been around March. So if you are planning to apply, you want to make sure that like you can start like the rest of your application later if that's what like your schedule kind of fits in. But you do want to get started on your immunization paperwork earlier, because I know that they do require like a hepatitis B blood work. So like you have to like go into your doctor, get that test written up, and it takes a while for your results to go back. So you just want to make sure that you allow enough time for your immunization to get cleared, because you don't want that to be the reason that you're not able to do the program.
Perfect. You couldn't have said it better. Thank you so much.
Okay, now I will be passing it on to Yesenia, and she will be presenting about the UCLA Medpep program.
Thank you, Harleen. Hello, everyone. My name is Yesenia Ramirez, and I completed the Medpep program 2020-2021. It's a year-long program, and unfortunately for me, it was all online. I wish I would have experienced it in person, but it was still a great experience. I was able to meet a great peer mentor, which is essentially an individual who is a little ahead of us in the game on this path, you know, to whatever career path we want to take. For me, it's the MD route. And so during the the year-long program, you are provided with a lot of workshops, and they help in allowing you to gain a better understanding of time management. They allow you to network. There are also some like quote unquote homework assignments, which are really self-reflections and ways to plan out, how you'll be successful throughout your journey. There are also opportunities to practice on working on your personal statement, as it is one of the requirements for the program. At the end of it, you have a personal statement that has been reviewed with your peer mentor. There are weekly check-ins that are required, and meetings usually took place on Saturdays for about 6 hours, I believe. And overall, it was a really great experience. I have a little picture on the side of the closing ceremony. And so you do receive, your certificate of excellence. And it's a great moment. Your peer mentor shares a little bit about you and the experience they had working with you throughout the year. So the application is due between May and June. There is a letter of recommendation that's necessary, a resume, unofficial transcripts, and there are about 3 short essays and a personal statement. They also require a 2x2 headshot. I also would like to say that this community, I think, is essential, especially for those that really are struggling with identifying where they want to go in their path, and especially being considered underrepresented minorities in medicine. Medpep's goal is really to help build a bridge, between us and getting to our desired profession. So I also want to take a quick moment to invite everyone to the Medpep conference, which is taking place on November 20th. Is a Saturday from 9 to 3. It's going to be all online. It's going to be virtual via Zoom. And sorry, yes, thank you, Harleen. Yeah, so, and it's a great experience. We really have worked hard to try to create a safe environment, a comfortable place, where students who, again, are maybe struggling or don't really know where they want to go, what path they want to take. The Medpep conference is definitely the place to be. We have a lot of different tracks, from nursing, from PA to allied health to MD. I believe we now have a public health track, and I can't give too much away, but it's definitely something to look into. The link is in the slide, so if you do the survey, you should get the link, or you could also just Google it. And really quickly, thank you, Harleen, for reminding me. I would like to extend the invitation to my pre-med Bible study. It happens Mondays at 7 p.m. every Monday. We are a group of individuals who really just want to, put God first above all in our path to medicine. It's a very friendly, welcoming environment. So I want to invite everybody. Please feel free to email me, message me. And yeah, I'll answer any questions if anybody has any.
I just saw a question in the chat. The student is asking, what are the program requirements?
Yeah, so again, the application requires a letter of recommendation, a resume, unofficial transcripts, the 3 short essays, and a personal statement. I personally applied when I was a postgrad. I had just earned my bachelor's degree, and I applied. And so, but I think they really strive, at least I know for UCLA Medpep, they really strive to connect community college students to peer mentors, because it's difficult to navigate, especially going through community college. But really, that I remember, I'm not too sure that it's like, oh, you have to be a first year, second year. Again, I applied once I had already graduated from from CSU Fresno. So.
Thank you, Yesenia.
Yesenia, sorry, I have a quick question. So I'm looking at the application, and is the deadline June 20, 2021 for next summer of 2022?
Oh, actually, I did not look at when the deadline is. I just know that then you might actually have to wait, but because I think the application is open, right? Between May and June.
I think it says the application is open right now, but I guess I'm just confused by the deadline.
Yeah, because I'm like, it starts in the summer. Yeah, because the first workshop is in August. So yeah, I think they might have met for 2022 because yeah, I don't even know if it should be open.
Okay,
But
okay,
I'll look into that and get back to you.
okay, thank you.
There's another question for you, Senya. They're asking, is this open to postgraduate students?
Yes, yes. So I graduated from Fresno State, and shortly after I applied. So I would assume that they do accept postgrads. I mean, they took me in, and so yeah, I definitely would still apply.
Thank you, Yesenia. I don't have any more questions for you.
As I mentioned before, if you guys do have questions that come into mind, even if we're moving on to more programs, you guys can still put them in the chat and we'll make sure to get them answered. So we can move on to our next speaker now. Our next speaker are going to be Sohan and Joshua. They're going to be both presenting about HCC and the respective organizations that they work with.
Yeah, so I can start and then I'll hand it off to Josh. And then I'll talk about my experience after Josh tells us about his experience. So Health Career Connections, or HCC, is a 10-week paid internship at any public health organization that's affiliated with HCC. So before I go on, I do want to preface that this is a public health program. It's not clinical, but if you are on the pre-med track or pre-nursing or what have you, it's a really great thing to add on to your list of skills, because public health is an integral part of all that. So that's what HCC is. It's a internship at a public health organization, whether it be a research institute, a pharmaceutical company, a county. That we partner with a lot of counties in the California region as well as across the country. And as far as locations of where your internship could take place, it can happen anywhere in the country. It can be in New York, it can be in Atlanta, it can be in across California, so Fresno, Merced, San Francisco, LA. So really a huge variety, and you'll indicate where you want to go in your application. So the program, I think we'll talk about specifics of the program in each of our personal experiences, but very broadly, the program, it consists of your intern site. So whatever your host site assigns you for work, that'll be a bulk of your program. And then HCC, as like the umbrella organization, they're going to supplement that with workshops, with networking events, with things like that. So that's the general structure. And I'll go more into what exactly that looks like in my presentation after Josh's. Applying to HCC, it's a decently competitive program, is from what I hear. So there's 4 stages of the application process. There's the primary application, which is general info plus personal statement, plus a resume and a CV, that's due December. And to my recollection, you don't need a letter of recommendation, but Josh, correct me if that changed from my year to your year. So after your primary application goes through, and hopefully you get in, then you go into round 1 interviews, which is an interview with your regional manager. So like I said, your internship can take place in whatever region in the country you want it to take place in. So after you get past primaries, you'll be connected with the regional lead of whatever internship area, like geographic area you want, and then that regional lead will interview you. And that'll be in January. So again, like the primary application is due in mid-December, and then the round 1 interview is like about mid-January. So assuming the round 1 interview goes well and you get in, then you go into the host organization interviews. So at this point, there is a 90% chance that you've been accepted into the program. If you've passed the primary and the round 1, then you're in really good shape. Host organization interviews are sort of like your secondary interviews, where the regional manager will connect you to different organizations, public health organizations in the geographic area that you've selected. So say you want to go to New York, then the host organization it's usually 1 to 3 interviews. You'll have 1 to 3 interviews with different organizations. And the purpose of this host organization interview is to find a right fit. So what organization do you like best and what host organization liked you best? And then there's sort of a matching process based off those interviews. And after that, there's final placement where you're placed with a host interview or a host organization, and then you proceed with your 10-week internship. This is a paid internship. Your stipend depends on what region you reside in, or sorry, when I say reside, what region you're doing your internship in. So for instance, if you're in New York, your stipend is going to be a lot larger than if you stay in Fresno because cost of living is higher in New York. So that's sort of how they calculate that. And there's a typo. Application for summer 2022 is now open. The priority deadline is the 13th of December, but the final deadline is the 27th of December, and you can check out the link. And now I'll hand it off to Josh.
Cool, thank you. And so, regarding you said a letter of rec. There is no letter of rec in the application process. Okay. Hi everybody. My name is Joshua Rodriguez. So I was in HCC this past summer. So I'm part of the old cohort that just finished up. And so I was placed I stayed in my region, Central California, and I was placed at the UCSF Fresno Latino Center for Medical Education and Research. So I was more of a research/data intern. So like going back to what Sohan was saying during the application process, they ask you your internship, your program manager, the region manager, that person's asking you about your interests, what do you want to do in public health, if you like research, you like data, you like community health, all the different things in public health. So that's how they end up placing you through what you like to do. So I'm more interested in the research and the data side, statistical analysis, all that stuff. So yeah, so I was placed at UCSF Fresno Latino Center, Medical Education and Research, and I was more of a research/data intern. And so what I got to do was work data analysis, census data comparison, alumni career updates, and I worked with statistical software programs. And on the side, my pictures are just, 2 examples of the work that I did regarding my stay during my internship. So since UCSF Fresno, the Latino Center, they work more in the Central Valley region of California. So they have a high school program that's a pre-med high school program. It's called Doctors Academy. And so my part as a data intern, we helped out during the summer program, but mainly I went through a bunch of data analysis, and I put together this presentation to help tell everybody who's a donor to the program, to different medical doctors, everything, hey, this is what the summer program did. This is what, it's helping, students go onto the pre-med track. And yeah. And then regarding HCC, so last year, everything was virtual, and all the workshops were virtual. There's different workshops on personal and professional development, public health careers, graduate school preparedness, advocacy, and there's small projects in between the summer throughout the internship program. And those are mainly, just like they ask you have to do a small video project just to show, that's at the end. You do a small video project just to show what you did during the summer and to show what you learned. And yeah, you just send it out to HCC. But it's a very good, on my end, I really enjoyed it doing this internship, mainly because I'm more interested into the public health side of things. So going through HCC really helped me prepare myself for graduate school. Right now I'm in graduate school. I'm in USC Online MPH program. So, and I'm my emphasis is in biostatistics/epidemiology. So going through HCC and going through my intern site really helped me prepare for graduate school. And it's a good opportunity if you're looking for that experience over the summer. And like Sohan said, it's paid. So that's a benefit too. And my email's in there. Comments about the application process.
All right.
Anya has her hand up.
Oh yes, sorry. I just wanted to clearly quickly clarify that the app for Medpep actually opens in April. What the current application that's online, it's a mistake. They forgot to close it for this past cohort, as they're already like they have their cohort for this year. So yeah, look out for it in April. It's due by June, and then that'll be for 2022, 2023. And also I'm going to put the link for the pre-health conference in the chat. So thank you.
Harleen, we have one more slide for HCC. Okay, so I'll close us off on this program. So for me, just like Josh, I interned in the Central California region, and I interned for a site called the Central Valley Health Policy Institute. So sorry, actually, before I go into my experience, one thing I wanted to mention with applying to this program is this program really favors upperclassmen and graduates. That's just something to be aware of. I have seen first and second years get into the program, but this program favors upperclassmen. And I also wanted to note that with all these programs, I think every program that we've talked about is decently competitive, so definitely apply to as many as you can. Okay, so that's the housekeeping items for this. So yeah, my experience was very similar to Josh's. So I'm in a research institute. So the bulk of my work was research, dealing with qualitative data. So we did interview transcripts. It's a process called coding and theming. We also did a lot of literature reviews and searches, and then drafting manuscripts. Sorry, I couldn't put any screenshots on here. Our research agreements forbid me from doing that, but they look somewhat similar to what Josh did. So that's, if you want a picture, that's sort of what it looks like. So that was the bulk of my work, really messing around with research under the supervision of my supervisors and my colleagues. We really dug into, what research looks like. So it's a good experience in whatever aspect of public health you want to do. So if you work for the county, you'll be do a lot of community work under the direct supervision of your supervisor. So it's a great experience to get your feet wet in an aspect of public health, and really choose your site wisely, because that's what you're going to be doing for the entire 10 weeks, full time, 40-hour weeks. Mm-hmm. And then to supplement that work was the workshops. So I sort of grouped the workshops into one of three categories. There was like general professional development. So they taught us a lot about design thinking, how to create a project from the ground up, things like that, how to be a better professional, like just in a very general sense. And then one thing that Jeff, he's the CEO, and he always presents, he really highlighted was the different public health careers that are out there and the different opportunities. So for instance, we had a whole 2-hour block dedicated to health IT. I don't know if you guys know this, but public health is notoriously underdeveloped in the technology sector. So, he introduced us to all these careers in health IT. And he said, if you like tech, you'd get a high paying job in this. Or we learned a lot about health consulting and that line of careers. So it really gets you a lot of exposure into what a career in public health could look like. That's something you could spend some years doing before you go into med school or grad school or wherever you want to end up. So that's a big plus too. It really gives you that exposure. And then social justice. We talked a lot about racial equity and health equity and all of that good stuff. So why you should apply, in a nutshell, it's a great opportunity to expand your network. I think my LinkedIn grew 150 people over the course of those 10 weeks, which is awesome. It teaches the importance of public health. That's a given. It's an opportunity to develop professional skills. You will network a lot. You'll talk a lot to people. You'll really develop those presentation and conversational skills that you'll use in conferences and med school and in grad school and pharmacy school. Its host site might hire you at the end of the internship, and that's a big one. I don't think many summer programs can offer you a job at the end of it, but this one can. And it's, that's even more experience that will go on your resume. And then like Josh and I both have been saying, it's paid. So that's just a huge plus on its own. And I think with that, we'll conclude with HCC. Are there any questions?
There are no questions on my end. Oh, wait, there is one in the chat.
Yeah, we saw it.
Okay. So the question is, when you apply for HCC, do they send out rejections as well? Or do they just send our acceptances?
They just sent out acceptances. That's how I saw it this year. I just want to be sure with Sohan that it was like that too.
Yeah, to my knowledge, they don't tell you if you were rejected. They just, yeah, no, they definitely don't. I remember this because, yeah, when they sent out interviews, I was shocked. Yeah, they don't tell you if you get rejected or not. I think maybe after interviews, they might tell you, but definitely not after the primary application. They won't tell you anything. Yeah, no problem. Are there any other questions?
Yes, there is one more. They said, can you apply again if you applied during the fall?
Yeah, definitely. You can apply again even if you applied in the fall. One thing we didn't mention is even if you got in and did the program and wanted to do it again, you can apply again. If you got in, couldn't do it, you can apply again. Yeah, you can. They're really open about that stuff.
I do think that recently, just like a few weeks ago, they announced that they are opening up internships for like the fall, winter, and summer. So if you want to, like, if you're in school and you want like a job part time, that's all. They're also being flexible with that. They're doing some over winter breaks. So that's the recent update that they've made to their programs. So if you're interested in doing it during other times other than summer, then that's definitely something to consider as well.
I have another question too. They're asking, what was one thing you disliked from the program, if there was any?
Hmm.
I'm thinking. There are a few, but some of the okay. So my biggest dislike, and it wasn't really their fault, was it was completely virtual for me. Meaning I couldn't meet my cohort in person at all. So I lost that sort of interpersonal connectiveness that I've heard previous cohorts have had. So that's sort of my biggest gripe with HCC right now.
Yeah, it would be the same thing. Just like getting that experience, to network with other people. They tried this year doing a little bit more since everything was all virtual. So during the workshops, they would do more small groups. So there would be a lot of small group activity, and so that would be more of the one-on-one experience. But it would mainly be that, not getting to see people in person.
But it really is a good program for that to be the only thing. Like you get a lot out of it.
And so, Han, can you share a little bit about how, because I believe you're working with the Center Valley Health Policy Institute, like you were hired. So can you a little bit about how that process was, and like, are you continuing to do some of the same things that you started doing when you started your internship?
Very different things, but as far as that process goes, it's awesome because Jeff, the CEO, and HCC as a whole will support you as you go about doing that stuff. So I got the job because I asked, like, hey, do you have any opportunities after the 10 weeks for a part-time employment? And then they said yes. So that's sort of how I went about getting the job. And for full length of specifics, they do a workshop. I forgot when, but somewhere around like the 8 to 7 week mark, they do a little workshop on how to ask for the job and then how to compensate how to negotiate your compensation, your payment. So they will help you do this process, but that's sort of how you'll go about it. You'll talk to your supervisor or your preceptor and ask them if they have employment options. And then as far as what I'm doing, it's drastically different because when I was an intern, I was a generalist. I sort of jumped from project to project. But now that I'm employed, we work with COVID-19 patients for what's called the COVID-19 Equity Project. If you're in Fresno, you may have heard of it. But basically, right now, the work I'm doing involves community health workers and doing research for those community health workers and seeing how well they support the community. And I will say just a little promo is through this opportunity, I got a lot of publications out of it, and I even got to present at the American Public Health Association conference. So again, like these employments that you might get through HCC are super, super beneficial. They'll open so many doors, create so many connections for you. And sorry, I don't want to ramble, but one last thing is, even if your host site doesn't offer you a job, the connections that you've made through HCC might open the doors to other jobs. So like you can ask Jeff if he knows anyone in this sort of sector of public health, and maybe he can connect you, or you can ask your cohort if they know anyone, and they'll connect you. And even once you're an alumni for HCC, you're put on this listserv and they'll regularly put like job opportunities. So even if your preceptor doesn't hire you, you'll get a job if you want one.
Yeah,
We have
there's a lot of connections through HCC. Even like you can connect with your host site. Like even like Sohan said, if you don't even get a job, you know, with your host site, there's still connections with your preceptor, with whoever's in charge and you're at their host site. With me, there was one person who also did HCC, and she works there. So that connection, you just build off that connection with everybody.
Oh yeah, the question was, do y'all have an idea of how many people are accepted?
A lot.
A lot. It depends on what region you apply to, right, Josh?
Yeah, depends per region.
Yeah, I think Central region brought in 40, and then NorCal was like another 40 or 50, I think, for my year at least. But it depends on your region.
I think we can move on to the next program if you guys still have more questions.
Oh, sorry, I have one more question. Sorry. So they're asking, can we apply to multiple regions or just the one we live in?
Yep, multiple regions. You can apply to up to 3.
Yeah. The only thing you got to keep in mind is, if you're going to do it virtually or in person. So keep that in mind if you apply to multiple regions.
Okay, now we'll move on to our next program. So Atsiri will be sharing about the Into the Fields internship.
Hi everyone, and my apologies for having my camera off. I came to a Day of the Deaf celebration and I'm in my car right now. And I also want to apologize if you hear any background noise, but there's music and like a really nice celebration going on right now. So about the Into the Fields internship, the actual internship, it's called Into the Fields, and the organization that hosts it, it's called Student Action with Farmworkers. And the duration of the program is 10 weeks and it's during the summer. So it actually starts like maybe like last 3 days of May, and then it ends in August. I know I have June there, but it pretty much is like the maybe 28 until like the first weekend of August. And the location, it's North or South Carolina. It really depends on the placement you get, where you get placed at. But for myself, I got placed in North Carolina. So my placement was a health clinic, community clinic, and I was placed in North Carolina. So there are multiple placements, but if you're pre-health, pre-med, I would recommend the placement with the health clinic. But they also have community organizing, legal services, lobbying and advocacy, migrant education, and union labor organizing. And so what they're looking for in applicants is someone who is interested in the farm worker movement and farm worker issues. And so if you're from the Central Valley, there is a big population of farm workers. And if you're planning on returning to work in the Central Valley once you become a healthcare professional, then it would be very important for you to understand the issues that they face. And if you're passionate about social justice, I say apply to this program. It is a life-changing program. It is really an amazing program. I've done several internships throughout my college career, and like I did several internships, and I think that this one was like the one that really, like, I don't know, hit me home, and it was really nice, and I learned a lot, and it really humbled me. And also, if you're willing to work at one of their placements, outreaching to farm workers, they're looking for that. It is a DACA undocumented friendly, and the cohort it's of 25 interns. And it is a little bit competitive just because the program is getting more known, and they also accept people from all over the country. So it is a bit more competitive, but I do encourage you to apply if you're really passionate about social justice and farm worker issues. Some of the benefits is that they provide a stipend of $4,250. They also provide rent, so rent-free housing, and they provide room and board at the 3 trainings that they have. And the trainings are, you get to bond to your cohort and all the staff, and it's really nice. You also get mentorship, and out-of-state students who come from farm worker families also receive additional support securing paid travel to North Carolina. So if you come from a farm worker family yourself and you apply and you get in, they pretty much pay for your travel expenses. I myself come from a farm worker family. My mom is a farm worker, so they paid for my travel expenses. There is, especially for those that do not come from a farm worker background, no mandate, but like require you to or encourage you to do like a fundraiser. Even though I came from a farm worker family and I was also part of the camp program, so you're part of the college assistant migrant program at your university, they have preference for those students. I was part of the college assistant migrant program at my school, and they pretty much paid for my fundraiser part, but I still did the fundraiser just because I really felt passionate about this and I really wanted to do the fundraiser. Some of the requirements are that you must be a college student, community college, or 4-year university, or you can also be a recent graduate within 1 year, or that you're planning to return to schools soon, that you're currently taking a gap year, and that you must have one of the following. That you must be, I'm going to list all of them, but at least one of those that you must have in addition to being a current college student or a recent graduate or all those things that I already mentioned. So you high, intermediate, or advanced Spanish, it's preferred. They only have 2 non-Spanish speaking placements available. So it will be more competitive if you don't speak Spanish. Also that college students from a farm, another one, it's college student from a farm worker family, or also student currently attending college in the southeastern US, which I don't know if it applies to all of you. If you are from California, it wouldn't apply, or you're going to school in California, it wouldn't apply. But if you know someone who is attending college over there and is interested, then that's a plus. And also if you're a college student from the Southeast. And the deadline, it's February 7. The application is currently open right now. And yeah, so pretty much if you are a pre-health, pre-med student who's interested in farm worker issues, who's interested in social justice, and really wants to connect with that community and learn about the difficulties they face, especially in those states, because it tends to be a little bit different from here in California. We had Cesar Chavez. They didn't have Cesar Chavez over there. So the culture towards farm workers is a little bit different than in California. And for myself, for my personal experience, I was a health outreach intern at a community clinic, and I worked in the clinic in the mornings, and in the afternoons I would go to either farm workers' houses or their work, and we would provide some health services like health screenings. We would do like blood pressure. We would take their blood pressure. We would also do glucose testing. We would also refer them to the doctor or to the clinic. We would make appointments for them. We would take them to the appointments, provide transportation. Also, something that we also did was not necessarily clinical, but a lot of them are migrant or seasonal farm workers. So they move from one state to another. So they go to North Carolina, then South Carolina, Florida. They just move everywhere. And when they do that, they can't really take stuff with them. So we would get free mattresses from an university, and we would give that to the farm workers because they didn't really have much, or they didn't really have where to sleep on. So that was like something that, and you can see my picture there, I really enjoyed doing, just because they were so grateful for us providing that. And it was just really nice. And I also, on Saturdays we would do, or like on the weekends, we would provide or organize health clinics. And we pretty much got to see what, like, got to work with doctors. I also helped one of the doctors do like a research project where they had they were testing for parasites on farm workers, and we were pretty much doing all the data collection. And yeah, it was an amazing experience. So if you're a pre-health student, I would recommend to apply for the health clinic placement. When you apply, you get to choose like your priority, and it's usually you get the first priority that you chose. But the other programs are also good, like the older placements. But I do encourage those that are pre-health to apply to the health clinic one. If there's any questions, please, I'm here to answer them.
I have a question. Oh, where can we find the recorded meeting if we want to access it in the future? It'll be posted on our YouTube page. Is that correct? Yes, right? I have a question for you, Atsiri, actually. Is this program, are you able to apply if you're like a not technically recent grad, but you're like in your gap years, or do they prefer students who are still in college?
No, you can be in your gap years. I know it says recent graduates, but if you're thinking about going back to school, then you can apply in that form that you will, if you're planning on going back to school in the future, then, and if you're still in your gap years, even though you already graduated or you've been in during your gap years for a few years, you can still apply, especially if you show a high interest in farm worker issues.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Do we have any more questions coming in?
Not on my end, no.
Not on my end either.
Okay, we'll move on to our next slide. So our next speaker is Sienna, and she will be presenting about the UCLA Summer Urban Health Fellowship Program.
Hi, I'm Sienna, and I was very blessed to have been able to participate in the Harbor UCLA Summer Urban Health Fellowship Program in summer 2020. This is a 6-week program that gives you the opportunity to work alongside high school students, undergraduate students, post-bac students, medical students, pharmacy students, residents, and physicians to learn about healthcare disparities and different public health issues that are faced by the underserved and marginalized communities. So pretty much if you fit into any of those categories of students, you can apply. And we learned the fundamentals of community-based research, health policy, advocacy, and provided health education talks to the community, and planned and implemented a community health fair, which was virtual for my year because it was entirely virtual year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And the program ends with a formal summit that us fellows plan ourselves entirely. So it's completely planned by students. And we present a health status report to the community along with suggestions for improvement. So as a part of this program, we also get to be mentored and mentor others. So medical students and physicians are matched up with us and we are mentored by them. And as undergraduates, we get the opportunity to mentor high school students. We get to attend social justice seminars about all kinds of different issues that aren't even, there's a lot that have to do specifically with healthcare and public health, but some they just range from so many different things. Like we had speakers from Black Lives Matter, we had speakers from like the civil rights movement who came and spoke to us as a part of this program. So it's very, very diverse in experience. And we got to participate in community-based research. So we were introduced to research methods, data analysis and interpretation, and data input. And a lot of our research had to do with like COVID and food insecurity. So it was very interesting to do it during the pandemic because there was just so much new data that we had the opportunity to sort through. And a lot of students had the opportunity to participate in community health education talks about different topics like having a healthy diet or exercise and like that sort of thing. And we did have the in-person options, which was completely optional because it was during the pandemic, of a food pharmacy where students would have the opportunity to distribute PPE and food to Harbor UCLA patients. And an option that we didn't have during my year, but I think this past year, 2021 had, was clinical precepting. And when the program is entirely in person, the interns and the fellows do get to shadow doctors as a part of the program. And it just all pretty much ends with the Health Summit, which was completely online for us. But I know that when the program is completely in person, that the Health Summit is something that's carried out in person. And lots of different faculty from different medical schools in Southern California, and just lots of people who like are on different boards for medical school applications do come to that health fair and learn about what you worked on as an intern with the Summer Urban Health Fellowship. And if you have any questions, the application pretty much consists of a Google form. It's released in late to mid-March, and it's usually due in April, early to mid-April. And it does not require any letters of rec. There's no GPA requirement. You just kind of have to fill out information about yourself, about your demographics, as well as submit, I think it was 2 essays, and kind of their essays about like mentorship and like public health, and usually hear back by the end of April. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask, or you can even email me if you want someone to like review your application if you want to apply in the future. I see one in the chat, post-bac students can apply to this program. And I would really, really encourage post-bac students to apply because the program directors actually were able, during my year, they were able to get a lot of the post-bac students job connections in healthcare, which was very helpful to those students.
Do we have any more questions coming in for me to Nisanya?
Yes, there are 2 questions. So the first question is, can post-bac students apply to this program?
So yeah, post-bac students can apply to this program. And I see the other question about travel fees. Unfortunately, this program is located in Los Angeles and does require that you be in Los Angeles, and they don't cover travel fees when it's in person. So it's a local program. And this program, something that I also forgot to mention is that it does not typically have a stipend. So it's a completely like a volunteer program. During my year, because of like the pandemic, we were able to get a stipend, but I'm not sure that that happens every year.
Thank you.
Okay, if we don't have any more questions coming in, then I'll share the last 3 slides. If there are any like last minute questions that are coming to mind, please feel free to put them in the chat. Even if they were from some of the previous programs that were presented, we can still answer them. But other than that, I'll share the last 3 slides, and those are pretty much just resources to kind of like databases. So the links will take you to like a platform. They're usually like Me Mentor posts. And within them, you'll find a link to like a database, and the databases are like for summer programs, like other internships and research opportunities. So I can actually share one of those with you. I'm gonna have to stop share for a second. Okay, so here you can see there's a lot of other links and resources that you can find on Mi Mentor. As it was mentioned in the beginning, you guys can create a profile. Yesenia, if you want to share a little bit about that with our attendees.
I'm so sorry, I missed your question. What was that?
If you want to share a little bit about creating a profile and just the broad variety of like resources that our members have.
Yeah, so creating a profile is definitely, it's very easy. And personally, that's how I stumbled upon the UCLA Medpep opportunity. And I think that, sorry, my tab is open. And so really, yeah, thank you, Sohan, for your comment. I actually also heard about HCC on the Mi Mentor app. So really, it's just a great opportunity to communicate with others, network with others, and really find out about these jobs. I personally post a lot of jobs on the Mi Mentor website, on the app. If I can share, like, it's one of my main apps on my phone. Like, can y'all see that? I don't know, it's a little, but yeah, it's like one of the main apps that I use. And just going on there, to really just see what you can find about whatever you're interested in. If you want an internship, if you want a job, if you want to just really connect with somebody who's like on the same boat as you in terms of your path to, medicine or your pre-health or your health career. I'm sorry, Harleen, what else did you want me to mention?
Yeah, I just wanted you to share a little bit about that. We want to encourage all our attendees to make that profile on Mi Mentor. You'll find a lot of amazing opportunities, such as these various programs. There's a lot of jobs that are posted. There's even MCAT like study groups for those of you that are like maybe in your post-bac, or even if you're early on, it never hurts to start taking a look at the resources that are there for you. So these lists are just some of the things found on the Mi Mentor. So this is on the website. You don't need a profile to view these, but do get the app on your phones, and then you get notified whenever new opportunities are posted with deadlines and stuff. So this right here, like for example, the Pathways to Science, it's a really amazing website. It allows you to it has like advanced filters, and it allows you to personalize. I know a lot of you in like the pre-registration, you guys were sharing that you were kind of concerned about what depending on what year you are and just like your specific interests. So so this is one of an example post. So this one was posted by a medical student. So here you can see it's basically like an overview of the Pathways to Science website. They are like paid, and then there's a link to the actual database. So we'll go ahead and go here. And so there's, as you can see, there's opportunities for undergrads, grad students, and even postdocs. So there's like filters here you can apply. So like, your level of study, if you're a community college student, you can indicate that here, your regions, and then like what kind of programs you want to get shown, short-term or summer. There's even study abroad opportunities if you are interested in that. If your campuses have an LSAM program, there's also those type of programs on here. So it's just like basically like kind of like a filter system. So you select your whatever it is that is of interest to you and that fits your needs. And it'll give you a list of the different programs that you can apply to, and just kind of start building your list that way. It's a great way to, as Sohan mentioned earlier, you do want to apply to a good amount of programs. Like, you don't want to overwhelm yourself. I would say like a good sweet spot is around like 3 to 4. So just apply so you can get the hang of their applications. And hopefully you do get an acceptance to at least one of them. And just start earlier on these applications. A lot of our alumni here have offered to look over your applications. So if that's something that you would like, please feel free to reach out. So along with the programs that were presented today, you guys can look through these to see if these better match your interests. I included about 3 sites that are just of links to the different types of summer programs that are available to students. And I did want to mention that a lot of campuses have a career development center. Sometimes it's not utilized often, but I want to encourage you all to reach out. For example, this is the one at Fresno State. So when I was applying to summer programs, I personally reached out to one of the career center advisors, and they were able to like walk me through like my resume. A lot of us coming from high school, you know, we may have not had someone look over a resume for like a polished version. So, you know, you go in, make an appointment. A lot of them are held on Zoom now. They will walk you through your resume building, and, you know, they'll find like the right words based on like your skill set. And for those programs that have interviews, such as HCC, you can even do a mock interview just to like kind of ease your anxiety and just know like what to expect. So I want to encourage you all to like reach out to the resource. A lot of these resources are free, and I want to encourage you all to kind of look into this as you all work on your applications, and just know that we are here as a resource if you want someone to like read over your personal statements or just answer any questions about the applications. I think that is all we have. If my colleagues want to add something, feel free.
Just to go off what you said, Harleen, is that we are all very open to helping out, answering any questions, and so is the whole community on Mi Mentor. I think the last question I posted was like, I need help figuring out what to use for the MCAT, like what to study, and I got like over 20 responses. So everybody's really willing to help you out. It's a beautiful thing to be a part of this community again. So please, please, please consider making a profile if you haven't, downloading the app. It comes in handy. Instead of spending time on Instagram, get on the Mi Mentor app, make some new friends on there. But yeah, I think that's it for me.
Yes, thank you all for attending today. We are all here to support you, as well as everyone on Mi Mentor is there to support you. I would just like to say that if you can, please fill out our post-event survey, which has been sent out through an Eventbrite email, and that will get you access to this presentation, which will be extremely helpful with all of these resources linked on here. So thank you all for attending, and I really hope you guys take advantage of Mi Mentor and make a profile.
I'm not a moderator, but I think I can also talk a bit about Mi Mentor. Definitely take advantage of our resources, Central Cal team, all of our board. A lot of our board members are even on the call today, are here for you. We offer a lot of events like these, and we also do mock MMIs for those of you applying to medical school. So definitely take advantage of those resources. That we do a lot of those. And definitely check out the website because we post more events like these on there. And like we said, fill out the post survey. If you fill it out, you'll get access to the speaker's contact info. And that goes for all future events too. Take advantage of the speakers because they are all possible mentors for you, people you can reach out to, people who can review your medical school, your pharmacy school applications. So please do attend these events. Take advantage of what we offer. Thanks all.
And if our panelists can stay until the end for a group picture, that would be great.
There are some questions in the chat. So the PowerPoint will be sent to you a few days after you fill out the post-event survey. The post-event survey email has already been sent. It should have been, or no. Actually, it'll be sending out at 8:30. So keep an eye out for